of the transcripts of the Wall Street speeches that she gave prior to running for president. 3 speeches specifically to these Goldman Sachs events. What stands out to you?
Well, what stands out is that she wasn't as tough in those private settings as she has been publicly on Wall Street. And specifically, her aides were so worried that these speeches would come out. They actually planted more critical language in later speeches so that they could leak it to the press and point to that as evidence that she is tough on Wall Street. We have an excerpt of that particular email from her speechwriter, Dan Swern. He said, "I wrote a long riff about economic fairness and how the financial industry has lost its way precisely for the purpose of having something we could show people if ever asked what she was saying behind closed doors for 2 years to all those fat cats, Poppy." So this is incredible. And what is in that particular speech he's referencing? He's referencing Clinton actually citing a Wall Street executive who wrote, "I'm concerned that all of us in the financial industry have forgotten the people who we actually serve," and he was talking about Main Street.
So, I mean, just sit with that for a moment. That is her speechwriter at the time, Dan Schwerin, saying, "I wrote this in this speech to," it was a Deutsche Bank audience for that one, "so that if the public or the press was demanding to see some of it, we could leak this part and it would look like you were really tough on the banks." Ron Brownstein, implications of that for Clinton, given, I know, the context that obviously there are a lot of headlines about Donald Trump right now, too, so perhaps these aren't getting the attention they would be otherwise.
Well, look, I mean, I think the cumulative portrait from this specific episode, and really all that we've seen so far, is this is a very disciplined, planned, controlled, calculating, pragmatic politician. And, you know, it is depending on how you feel about that kind of portrait and whether Hillary Clinton is someone who seems to you as someone who kind of operates in the world of the possible or is constantly kind of tacking and maneuvering without any real center, I think it is going to be reinforced by the overall portrait of this, you know, extraordinary intervention in American politics by what appears to be Russian intelligence. But having said that, you know, I think above all she comes across as very tactical in all of this, in a way that kind of reflects her problem as a candidate in finding an overarching vision that people can get excited about, and really raises questions about how she would operate as president. She is very good at kind of maneuvering within an existing playing field and finding immediate kind of a place that she feels comfortable. But can she set a long-term goal? Does she have a North Star that she can follow as a candidate and as a president? And I think this kind of reinforces those who have doubts about, you know, whether she has that kind of big picture vision.
Lonnie, to you, you worked with Mitt Romney. I believe you worked with Rubio as well, right, ahead of the debates?
Yes. Yes,
so
I did.
How do you expect Chris Wallace will position this to her as a question on Wednesday night? And what would be the best way for her to answer it?
You know, I think that the problem with this sort of treasure trove of emails is that it reinforces Hillary Clinton's authenticity problem. It reinforces the idea that she is scripted and so carefully managed that we don't really get to see the real Hillary Clinton. So I think probably the question would come in the form of, how do you explain to people the difference between your private persona or the persona you have behind closed doors and perhaps the public persona that we all see? I think for her, the best way she addresses that, and this is something I think was really missing in her town hall debate performance, she needs to demonstrate that she's human. She needs to be able to empathize with the questioner. And I think a great answer would say, look, I understand that point of view about myself. I've made mistakes in my public life, and sometimes I haven't let people see too deeply into who I am. But let me tell you who I am, and then relate who she really is, her experience in politics and public life, in a way where she's storytelling as opposed to answering the question in a clinical, analytical way. I think that's when she gets into trouble, and that's been her issue.
We're out of time, but you wonder if she will do that or if she'll tack back to, look, Russia's interfering with our election and this hacking and this shouldn't be. And you wonder if she'll answer it that way or if she'll try to push it on to Russia and hacking and tie Trump to that. Guys, thank you very much. Christina, great reporting. Thank you, Ron and Lonnie. Straight ahead, we're going to